All right, let's talk about what happened just recently with this planetary alignment and how important that was. Because these alignments only happen once every 18 years or so, 17 and a half to 18 years. So the last time that we had an alignment where you could see all the planets in order was in the year 2004. And that was a significant event for me because it was the year that my son was born. And get this, 18 years before that, it was 1986. And that was the year I had a little accident on a bike. I was going down a hill, clear as day, and the car that was opposite of me saw me. And then all of a sudden, at the last moment, decides to make a left-hand turn. Well, lo and behold, I got hit by the car because it turned like 10 feet in front of me, and I didn't have time to, get out of the way. I thought I was going to be dead, flying off of that car. I flew over the back of the car, and thank God there weren't any other cars there. Otherwise, I could have gotten killed. So this was a sign that it was some kind of a miracle stating that I wasn't going to die that day. I was very lucky and I didn't get injured, didn't have any broken bones or anything, just a few scrapes. So I figured that this was a sign that something better was going to happen. And lo and behold, 18 years later, my son was born. And later, when he was around 9 or 10, he announced that he wanted to become the first Latino president of the United States. And guess what? 18 years from now, when he's 36, it'll be the year 2040. So that could be a big event because he will be eligible to be president by 1 year. You have to be 35 to be president of the United States. And so he will have that available because he will be just 1 year older than the lowest, year that you can be to be president. You have to have the lowest age you can be is 35, and he'll be 36. So what else is important about this is that if you take 18 years and you multiply it by 10, that's 10 great alignments. 10 great alignments, which is about 180 years. Or maybe if it's like 17 and a half, it's 175 years. Well, if you go back in history, 180 years from the year 2040 is the year 1860, which was important because that's when Abraham Lincoln became president. And he was a great man. He later on, in his administration, freed the slaves. And next year will be 150 years from the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay? So next year is going to celebrate that. So that also is an event that will be 175, 180 years from the year 2040. Okay? Now, other great events that have happened every 18 years are, for example, 18 years before 1986, which was 18 years before my son was born, was the year 1968. So that great alignment signified what? Richard Nixon got elected president. Martin Luther King was assassinated, as well as Bobby Kennedy. So these were big political events that happened. And a few years later, in 1968, at the end of 1968, Apollo 8 went around the moon. So that was the first time that the U.S. or the world had a vision of the Earth as seen from the moon. And of course, the following year, we landed on the moon. So that was an incredible event. And 18 years before that was 1950. What happened in 1950? Well, Germany hosted an international sporting event, which was just a few years after World War II. Well, actually, it was West Germany, so they had the World Cup, a big, giant international event. This signifies that there was a turn in the thinking of Germany, and plus, Germany had been divided into East and West. So this is also something very significant, okay? Because obviously the world was against Germany, and so then a few years after World War II, 5 years after, it lets Germany hold an international event like the World Cup, okay? Now, 18 years before that, it was 1932. And what happened then? Franklin D. Roosevelt got elected president. And of course, that was during the time of the Great Depression. And he started his programs to help America change its course. So, another great event. 18 years before that was 1914. And what happened then? World War I. So you see these events that are happening, or these events that are going to happen in 2040. We're going to have another election. Maybe my son will become president and fulfill what he had said when he was like around 9 or 10. So, let's see what else happened. Like I said, 1914. So these events are happening every 18 years. Big events, political events, or other events. Maybe some big inventions or upheavals, okay? Like assassinations. Now, these events can be either positive or negative, okay? So we're having these alignments. And this happens a lot also with other things that we see in history. For example, during the birth of Jesus, when they had the Star of Bethlehem and the Magi were seeing this, they thought it was a star moving. But it was really the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, two big planets coming together to look like a big star that was moving. And so the Magi said, well, they were following the star that was moving, okay? And we had a similar thing happen in 2020, where they had a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, okay? So again, this happened around December, around Christmas time. So, as you can see, when these alignments or when these conjunctions happen, big events have happened, okay? Let's take a look at what happened in the year 1896, which was 14 years before the year 1914. Well, a big invention happened, okay? Marconi invented the radio. So, again, a big event, either politically or in some kind of invention or a cultural change, okay? So, What happened 18 years before that? Well, 18 years before that, a couple of interesting events. It was 1878, and that was what? The invention of the phonograph by Thomas Edison. Important event. Changed the lives of many because we had records, And of course, later on, Marconi invents the radio. So records, radio, and then we have records entertaining us on the radio. Okay, you see how these events are following each other, okay? Now, 18 years before, 1878, Lincoln's election, okay? So, as you can see, these things are very important things that are happening, that have happened. And like I said, big, giant events seem to take place, especially when you have these great alignments of the planets. And I think even more so when you have 10 great alignments of the planet. Okay? So stay tuned. On my next broadcast, I'll talk about some other things that have happened in the past with great alignments or great conjunctions of the planets. Okay? Take care. I'm flying out to Ecuador later, and I have a big project that has to do with reforestation. My friend is helping with reforestation of the Andean mountain forests. We're replacing the non-native eucalyptus plants or the eucalyptus trees and non-native pine trees with native polylepis trees. Now the polylepis trees is a rosacea tree that uses less water, so it's conserving water, and this helps with the rainforest, with the Amazon rivers that flow into the rainforest, okay? Because there is less use of water by the native plants. These trees are incredible trees because they grow high up in the Andes. And there are some rare species in Ecuador, in the northern part of Ecuador. So my friend John is going to help with the reforestation of native trees, okay? And I am helping him ship a couple of wood chippers. Well, we will use the wood chippers to make wood chips to help with other people that have plants or for tree farms in the area. And thus, the wood chips will help with the moisture, maintaining moisture for other trees, okay? So we're using the trees that have been brought down in the forest, the non-native trees, using the wood chips so that other plants can have the wood chips for retaining the moisture, okay? So anyway, we'll talk some more about these great alignments and other things out there, like the conjunction of the planets, okay? Like especially Saturn and Jupiter. And a few years ago, I think there was Mars conjunction with the moon, actually. And that kind of caused an interesting look. And also, of course, we have other conjunctions too, like Mars and Jupiter, etc. Okay? So, you all take care. I'll be getting ready to go to Ecuador, and I may do a broadcast from Ecuador especially from the mountains that I'll probably be climbing later on in July. Take care and have a good one. Bye, and don't forget to subscribe.